And I was so unaware of who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was at all.
You were only 20.
I was
right?
young,
Yeah.
a young little cretin.
Yeah.
And I was, full of ego, full of like triggers. I was quite insecure. I was very afraid. And yeah, I was just quite lost. So to be on a TV show when you're like absolutely no idea who you are, wasn't great for my mental health. Whoever I used to be was leaving me. She was dying, and a painful death. All attachment is suffering. All attachment is suffering. This is a dream, and it feels more and more like a dream every day. And by that I mean, we're consciously creating our reality. And if you are consciously creating your reality with love and compassion, then it's inevitable that your dream is going to be quite nice.
She's a television personality known for appearing on Made in Chelsea. She's a music video director, an entrepreneur, a spiritual explorer, and a master of good vibes.
Oh,
Please welcome Jess Woodley.
That's such a nice intro.
Jess, thank you for coming on. It's such a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on this podcast.
Before we get into the spiritual and the mystical, I want to dive into your relationship with fame and reality TV.
Right.
In 2015, you were on the reality TV show Made in Chelsea,
Yeah.
Series 9.
Yeah.
What was it like to be part of that experience for you? And what is your relationship with it right now?
Well, the thing is that I've realized now is I saw everything as quite a negative experience. I took it as a negative experience, and that affected me negatively. Whereas I actually think I could have taken it as a positive experience, and I could have taken it as it was a privilege. I was lucky. It was a bit of an advantage. Like in the career world, it was like X, Y, and Z. But I was, I think I was, actually that show inflated my ego a bit, and it put me into a bit of a like victim place where I was like, why is this happening to me? Because it was a drama show, and there was a lot of drama.
For those that don't know, can you define what is Made in Chelsea?
Okay, so Made in Chelsea is I think the way I would describe it is it's a reality TV show following around a bunch of kids that live in Chelsea, and it's sort of just like displaying what they get up to. It's kind of just them talking about each other. It's like it's quite a toxic environment. It's just people talking about each other and like who did what, and like gossip. It's a lot of gossip, a lot of naughty things that people were doing to each other, and then showing their reaction. So it was a lot of like drama.
Yeah. How old were you when you were scouted for it, or were you?
Do you know? I don't know. I don't know. I think I was like 20 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I knew a couple of the boys. I had a really good friend called Alex and Jamie I really adored them, and I met them before I was on the show, and we spent quite a lot of time together. And then the show were like, you're their friend, do it. And I was sort of in a place where I didn't know where I was going. I was really struggling like academically. I went to a very academic school, and I didn't do well at all. In fact, I didn't respond well to discipline in general. I didn't just respond well to like people telling me what to do. So, and I was artistic. I loved art. I was doing well in art, but everything else I was pretty much failing. So honestly, I thought, this is, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life. Like, I'm fucked.
Going into the show, were you nervous? Were you excited? Because you had seen it before,
it felt
right?
like maybe this was my chance at like having a career, because I didn't think I had a chance. I was like, I'm failing in everything apart from art and maybe a little bit of French. And I remember being scared about like my future. And also I was working in a restaurant. I loved working in hospitality. Hospitality was like, it's like this cool thing where I got to like be around people for the first time, away from my family. I had independence, and I was just like loving it. And that's when they found me, when I was working in hospitality. So it was like this, like, here you go, do you want to do something probably quite easy, and it might help you later on in life. It was like a little, like, I just saw it as like an opportunity to maybe have a career.
How much of reality TV is reality, and how much of it is scripted when you're on set?
Like, honestly, I think they had like a rough idea of what was going on. Like, I think they had writers and things, but they weren't
Plot points.
yeah, there was stuff that they had to get done, but they couldn't tell us that because it was against reality TV. Like, that was like,
So they would guide
they
you
would
towards
guide you,
certain
like,
situations.
yeah, it was dangerous. I don't condone it. I think it's really bad. Like, I do think it's really bad. I think it's like mind control and a lot of manipulation. But yeah, I didn't, at the time, I was just like, great, like, this is exciting. And then I did it. I just fell into it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, oh my God. It felt, do you know how I would describe it? It felt like an acid trip, the entire thing.
Wow.
Like good and bad, but I took it as a bad acid trip.
Because it felt not real?
It was just like, is this happening? Like, is this? And then before you know it, you're just like part of this thing that is so controlled. And it's scary. It was really scary because you can't, you could be yourself to an extent, but if they had an idea of what they wanted you to seem like, they would push that. It was quite like, if they thought you were going to be a bad guy, they'd make you the bad guy. If they thought you were going to be the innocent one, that they'd.
Were you the bad guy? Because I've never seen the show.
Actually,
so
no. Like,
were you the innocent one?
I don't know. I just know that I tried my hardest not to, like, be toxic, and be and hurt people.
Yeah.
Because that sucks. It's not pure. It's like, and I tried my hardest not to get affected by the constant drama that was happening around me, or someone like trying to trigger me, because I was young. I didn't know who I was.
Were they manufacturing the drama to keep it going?
A lot of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so unaware of who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was at all.
You were only 20.
I was
right?
young,
Yeah.
a young little cretin.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I was, full of ego, full of like triggers. I was quite like, I was very insecure. I was very afraid, and I was just quite lost. So to be on a TV show when you're like absolutely no idea who you are, wasn't great for my mental health.
A lot of people seek that fame and they want to be on TV.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Don't. No, it's
Don't
not.
do it.
No. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's like weird. It's really weird.
But I guess they have to experience it for themselves to really know.
Yeah. Each to their own. But my advice is, I'm very grateful for the advantage I've had in life, in the sense that, like, it's given me tools to, like, exercise my skills, like creativity. And that, I'm so grateful for that, because it's like it kind of pushed me. It gave me a bit of a helping hand, having some eyes on me. Having some eyes on me because of that show has helped me. But the fame side, if you're somebody like me who suffers from paranoia and insecurities, and that time in my life, I was very easy to manipulate. I was very, very gullible. I was very, very, like, I believed anything that anyone said to me. I would just be like, oh, okay, this is the truth. And I idolized things and people that were my elders, but it wasn't necessarily positive, So I was, I don't recommend fame in general. I think, like, it's weird. I mean, I didn't experience full fame. I experienced like a Z-lister sort of type of fame. So it wasn't like, the magnitude was quite small. But even that, it did create quite a lot of paranoia for me.
Yeah. When did you first notice that people would recognize you, or that your relationship to other
Um,
people changed because
uh,
they knew you from the show?
oh my God. I remember people clocking me at places like Tesco's or like the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it hit me, when it was like just on the street, like walking home, and people would ask for a photo or something because, yeah, they would think that they knew me because it was a reality TV show. People would strike up a conversation as if they know you. They're like,
Right.
"Hey, so how are you?" And you're like, "Whoa."
They have a relationship
They
with
think that
you
they know
through the
me.
screen,
Yeah.
but you don't have a
No.
relationship
Yeah.
with
So it
them.
was quite trippy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like a trip. It'd be like, "Oh, hey, Jess," and I'd be like, "Oh, hello, howdy,"
Yeah.
and they would know everything about me. So they think. So it would be they would talk to me as if I was a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that scared me a bit. I mean, it was sometimes nice, but a lot of the time I was like, oh my God, this person really thinks that they really know me.
Mm.
What do I do?
And you left the show after 1 year?
I think it was maybe just over a year. It was I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was 2 years.
What was the thought process there?
Um,
You were done?
I just was like becoming quite paranoid, and like I was frightened, and I was like, it was going to my head, and I could feel my ego was inflating, and I was losing friends, and I the world that it, like the Instagram like endorsement world isn't good for you. It's, you know, it's not real. And I was falling into that pattern of like, it's all about how I looked, because like it
Mm.
was all just about how you look, right? It was like, how do you look? Can you get that job if you look this way? And it was all just very like, look, I have to look good. I must have to look good. And then
Is it
it made
true
me
that they
mental.
digitally add makeup to you, or
I think it was just a very nice filter.
filter?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it is so people think it's reality,
Mm.
but actually so much of it is manufactured.
Yeah, it's like a episode of Black Mirror.
What did you do when you left the show? And what state were you in? And did you need time to find yourself?
I was in an awful state. Like I was I was angry. I had a lot of like anger. I was like frustrated. I was just quite lost really, and I didn't know how to find my way back home. Like I didn't know how to find my way back to the creative Jess that I knew, like the
Mm-hmm.
person that loved art and that loved like adventures and like nature. But instead, I was just like Instagram. You know, Instagram is where it is. So it took a while for me to unlearn like that. You know, it took a while for me to get back to my roots and like being grounded, because that, you know, the acid trip felt like it went on forever.
The after effects.
The after effects went on, yeah, because you know I think it really affected me. It affected me. Also because of like you know, I'm quite deep. I'm quite a deep person. I think a lot. I sometimes think too much, and I would always think like, what have I done? What have I done? Have I ruined my life? Like, have I ruined my life? But then I thought, you know what? I can't think about this negatively anymore. It's affecting me, the negative spin I'm putting on it.
Yeah.
So I had to just be like, okay, it was ridiculous. It was funny. It's over now. It's in
Yeah.
the past. Let go.
It's so much about the framing you put on things as well.
Yeah,
Because there probably is a positive frame to it as well.
Of course there is. You know, I don't think I would be who I am now.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be who I am.
What
Right
lessons did Made in Chelsea teach you?
Oh God. Honestly.
Have you learned life lessons on the show?
It was more after. During, no, I was just like freaking out, you know. I was just like constantly anxious about what was going to happen to me. Like my anxiety was just through the roof. So I don't remember learning much during, but after it was more just like, okay, just be calm, be collective, be economist inside, be balanced, no matter what happens outside of your body. If you are okay inside, everything's okay. Everything's okay.
Mm.
It teaches you to really, it taught me to go inside. It forced me inside, you know, it forced me inside of my body, because I was like, I didn't like the truth. I didn't like that I was in this weird world. And I was like, where do I go? Like, where do I go now? So I just turned inside, and then that led me to spirituality. Thank God, you know?
Yeah. Talk
Yeah.
to me about the beginning of your spiritual journey.
I think like being on a reality TV show, it definitely led me to like drink. I was drinking a lot. I was like abusing alcohol. I was like, you know, I think I was numbing the reality that I'd stepped into. So I was just like drunk.
Bit of a party
I was a
lifestyle.
party girl. Yeah, I was a party girl.
Do you think a lot of cast members fall into that?
Absolutely. We were all just out all the time because also it was like gluttony, you know, we were greedy. Like people would give us stuff for free and we would get things all the time. And it would be like, you know, you'd go to a restaurant and they give you a free meal or they give you a free bottle of wine. It was like, God, this is great.
Yeah.
So then you become attached to all the free stuff and you abuse it. You know, you were like, this is amazing. I'm going to go to this restaurant now. I'm going to go to this club. And then you end up, you know, just full of alcohol and greedy. So yeah, I got greedy. And then I had to like let go of all that, you know, I had to let go of that greed. And then yeah, I guess that's that really. Like the spiritual journey that came after the alcohol, because I was you know, I was numb. Like I was quite numb, you know, I was addicted to cravings and intoxicating myself, and I couldn't feel anything, you know, I couldn't feel anything. And I became, I think, just quite like weird, like not myself. I like didn't, out of body experience, you know, I lost touch with who I was. And then somebody told me about mushrooms.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. You are a big fan of that.
So the mushrooms were a pivotal point for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about your first mushroom trip.
Oh my God. I feel like there's been a few, like I had like a dose of mushrooms when I was really like young. I think I was like 18, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't take any notice to it because I didn't do a lot. And then I did a proper I had a big situation in Ibiza, obviously, Ibiza. And funny enough, I only went to Ibiza because in David Bowie's song, he mentions Ibiza. And I'm a diehard fan of David Bowie. And I was just like listening to his song one day and he was like, something about Ibiza. And I was like, I'm going to go there. So I went there and I met some people and somebody in particular who is a very big fan of mushrooms introduced me to mushrooms, and it was profound. Like it was like everything I've been searching for, everything I've been looking for, everything I've wanted to know. It was like a big hug from like the world of nature. It was like a hug, a giant hug, and a point in the right direction, aka like inside, you know, like pointed me. That was when I started to really turn inside, because it was like, you know, like the mushroom, whatever it was, the entity of mushrooms was like, you know, you have the power to change your mind. You have the power to be a better person. You have the power to let go of things. Like you're incredible. You're powerful. Don't take this too much. You know, don't abuse me. Was what the mushrooms were saying. I'm medicine for your soul.
Yes.
To connect you back to who you are. I'm going to help you, but don't take advantage of me like you did alcohol. You know, don't take me too much, you know. So it's like it was like a sacred, it felt so sacred. And yeah, that led me to, I now see mushrooms as like this gift from God.
It's a plant medicine, and it's such an amazing medicine because it shows you who you truly are.
Yeah.
Without any filters.
Yeah.
It shows you your BS and your light.
Yeah.
And I find on my trips, the first half of the trip is usually working through the shadows and the BS. And the last half of the trip, it's all the light and the dreams. And it's like they're helping you with your goals and your dreams for life.
Yeah.
Do you find the same?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like that was the first taste of the truth for me, the first taste of like my illusions being broken. You know, the false illusions of what I thought reality was came crashing down. You know, it came like the walls were like falling down. My illusion was breaking. It was breaking it. So that was, you know, it was absolutely terrifying for the first whatever how many minutes it was. And then it just became like so exciting. It's just like exciting
because you were finally being given the truth about your soul, about your life.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that we're all like connected. There's no separation between any of us. There's no separation between the atmosphere. There's no separation between nature. We are nature, and that is so heartwarming.
Yeah, I think we forget that. We live so apart from nature.
Yeah, we've like completely like gone against it. I don't understand. Like it's ridiculous.
Was there a particular lesson that the mushrooms taught you that sticks in your mind?
Like compassion and love. You know, like you are the same as everybody else. Have love for everybody else, and have compassion for every single living sentient thing and being on earth.
Yeah.
You know, have compassion.
I love that. And have you done it as a regular part of your spiritual practice, or do you have a spiritual practice these days?
So I don't do mushrooms unless it's called. So like I don't do mushrooms unless I like my stomach's like it's time. And usually when that happens is when I'm like having quite a tough time, or I'm a bit blocked, or like things are, I don't know, I've gone through an experience that was quite triggering, or I've
and you need a tune-up.
Yeah, I need a tune-up, or a pattern is coming, you know, a big pattern is being like thrown in my face again, and I'm like, oh, how do I deal with this? Maybe Mrs. Mushroom can help me.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I always know in the beginning of the trip, oh, this is going to be a tricky one, or this is going to be smooth.
It depends how you are, isn't it, when you enter it?
The more stuff you're dealing with, the more rough the waves are going to be.
Yeah.
Until you find your smooth spot.
Yeah, I completely agree. With regards to spiritual practice, I would say solitude is a big one for me. I never really knew how to be alone. I would sort of feed off people's energy because I was lacking. So I would need other people to feel up, and that I lost that after I first started taking mushrooms. It really forced me down that road of solitude, which was just like incredible for me.
Was it tough at first?
Oh yeah, I just cried all the time, and I became really, really attached to my mother, and I was like, you know, like it was forced, the solitude as well. It was quite forced on me. It was like I physically couldn't hang around with people because I felt like I was losing whoever I used to be was leaving me. She was dying, and a painful death. And everyone I used to resonate with, I don't resonate with anymore, and I couldn't relate to them anymore. So, you know, they didn't want to hang out with me. I didn't want to hang out with them. So it was a forced solitude. It was like an awakening. Losing friends, I saw it as a bad thing, but actually it was like really grounding toward the end, like, you know, COVID and stuff like that. It was quite good for me mentally. That time on my own in my house in London was important for my spiritual growth. Like reading, like reconnecting with my books. Like books was huge for me. Like I never read before. I first of all, I didn't think I could read because I was dyslexic, so I just like didn't bother. I was like, I can't read, so I'm not going to. And then I picked up a book and I was like, oh, I can read. So this is really great. And then I was like, this is so exciting. So then I just began reading. I've not got very good memory, but the books I remember,
I know
in my solitude. Yeah. What one did I say?
One of them was Island by Aldous Huxley. And I'm so curious what about that book inspired you.
So this, good that we're talking about spirituality, because this came to me at a point in my life, like where it's like I really needed it. Like I really needed, it started off a bit like cynical, you know, like it starts off with like a sort of he's a bit of an asshole, the guy, like Will, I think his name's Will. And it's about like his, his attachment to the material world, and how he's full in his ego. He's quite a hurtful guy. He's quite impure, to be honest. He's not the purest bloke. And it's about, he's very intelligent, and I think he thinks he's all that, and he's kind of gone through his life hurting people and not realizing the damage he's causing. At one point, I don't want to ruin the story, but somebody dies because of his impurity. Somebody actually dies, and it leads him to this island, right? In my head, I'm seeing this as like the island is like you. I see it as like a metaphor for like you.
Yeah.
So it leads him to this island, and the island, I took it as Bali. So I was like, island? Like, I kind of just like was like, I need to go to an island. So it made me leave London and come here. Was that book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the book, he gets to this island and he finds this this just different universe that has a love ethic. The whole island is obviously, there's good and bad on the island, but like the majority of the people that live there are living through a love ethic. So he's never heard of that before in his life. He's a city boy. I think it's New York. It's intense. It's hard. It's like, it's capitalism to the max. And he's gone now to this place that is just community-based love ethic. And he is just like, what the fuck is this? Like, at first, I think he says that they're too good to be true. He judges it and thinks it's all fake. He's like, this is too much. This is like, what's wrong with them? They must be crazy. But then he leans into like, they are genuine. These people are genuine. They're genuinely living through a love ethic. And it's so amazing what happens to him, how he starts to analyze his past, how he changes being around this love ethic. He goes from being an asshole to a compassionate, loving man. And it's his journey, and it's fascinating. And it's also, it talks a lot about power and like will and just like all the impurities of the world, but how despite all impurities, nature prevails, love always wins. And it's great. And he also has a huge experience with mushrooms in the book. And it's really delicate the way he talks about it. And yeah, I recommend that book to anyone.
Do you know the author, when he was dying, he took acid?
What, Aldous Huxley?
Yeah.
What, while on his deathbed?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He wanted to go out of the world on acid.
No way.
Yeah, it's true.
Christ.
So it's a pretty incredible story.
Yeah. Well, that was his last book. So I think he'd gone from being like doing like, I think, was it, what was that book he did?
He did Brave New World.
Brave New World, yeah. So I haven't finished that one. I've only just started it. But I think it was quite a shift from like dystopia to like euphoria. And this last book was like explaining how we could be living. Yeah. And also I took it as like, if this is Aldous Huxley's dream, right? If this is his dream, I love his dream. I want his dream. I feel the same way as him. I felt sane. I felt sanity reading this book. I felt normal. I felt like, oh, thank God I'm not alone. Like, it was so refreshing to know that someone understands the way that I want to see the world. Yeah. And I ever since I read that, I actually, I took it seriously. I'm looking for that community-based love ethic, and I won't give up until I find it.
Have you found it in Bali?
There's definitely a community here. There's definitely love here. There's definitely like karma, good karma, in the sense that people here are, they're driven by karma. So it feels lighter in a way. It feels conscious. It feels more conscious. People are aware of themselves. They're aware of their actions.
And the community.
It feels lighter here. I've met incredible people, but community is a tough one. It takes time. It takes like time and getting to know people and understanding, do we have the same values?
Would you ever go back to London? And how do you see London now?
I'm actually terrified. I'm terrified.
You're dreading it.
I'm just like, I feel so different. I feel like, or the Vipassana, for example, like, I feel like it's shaken my world. Like, my internal world has been completely like changed.
Let's
and I'm
get
like,
into that,
yeah,
because that's such an incredible. You just came back from
yeah,
a 10-day Vipassana
yes,
retreat.
yes.
How did this change you? And also for those listening who might not be aware of what it
Yes.
is, give us a little brief
Right.
of it.
So a Vipassana is Goenka is a guru who has learnt Dharma through the Buddha's teaching, and Dharma is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. It's like noble truths of liberation. It's a way to get inside and eradicate like past cravings and attachments to liberate you from misery. So the way I see it is, the world, there's a lot of misery in this world everywhere. It's just everywhere, but we have such a hard time accepting that, and that causes us so much pain because we can't accept the misery. We can't accept the misery in us. We can't accept the misery outside of us. It causes us quite heavy time. And the meditation, the way that what they teach is eradicating sankharas, I think, which is craving, and craving is attachment, and attachment is desire, and desire is misery. So it's like getting it at the source, and the source being your unconscious mind. So diving into your unconscious mind to eradicate old stock of craving and attachment so that you can be liberated from these shackles that bring you down to the misery of earth. It's freeing you from the misery, basically, but it's hard. It's incredibly difficult.
It's 10 days. You can't speak.
Yeah, so it's 10 days. No speaking, no eye contact, no
No
phone.
eye contact.
No
Wow.
eye contact. But I found that incredibly difficult. So I failed at that one. I'd look up and be like, oh God, she's looking at me. And also because, they don't want you to talk too much, because as soon as you start speaking, you compare your experience to someone else's. Someone might be like, yeah, I'm seeing stars. And you're like, I'm not seeing stars.
Right.
And then you start, that's attachment.
So silence, no talking,
Nothing,
no eye contact.
nothing.
You're just in your own space.
You're in your own space. I had a roomie. Having a roomie was hard. Having a silent roomie was really difficult because she was incredible, but it was very difficult to not talk to her, because we wanted to engage after a day, 12 hours of meditating, and just being stuck in your insides.
Oh, that must be difficult.
It was ridiculous. It was, well, not ridiculous. It was incredible, but it felt ridiculous at the start. I was instantly on the first day, I was like, oh God, what have I got myself into? I don't think I can do this. I'm not settled. I'm not at peace. My brain, I've got a monkey mind. My thoughts are so intrusive and they're so loud and they're so distracting.
Did you feel like you made a mistake? Like you wanted to get out of it?
A little bit, yeah. Like I was like, okay, sitting down and then listening to Goenka, who's incredible, an incredible man. I'm like, I have so much love for that human being. The way he speaks, his teaching is like, it's so natural to him. To me, he's one of the greatest people I'll ever experience. But listening to him talk, I was quite frightened because it felt very serious. It was like, this is serious. This is quite a serious thing that you've signed up to. Don't leave. Don't leave. And I was like, oh God, it's getting scary. Maybe I can't leave. They have my passport.
You're on the island.
I'm on the island. Yeah. I was like, what have I signed up for? And then. Eventually, the pain seeps through when you're sitting there for longer than an hour, or you're sitting there for even longer than 15 minutes. Your body starts to ache. I've never meditated before, so this is the first time I've ever actually meditated.
Wow.
Yeah, so my body was not ready. My body was like crying.
First time meditating, and you're doing 10 days of it.
Yeah, I'm quite extreme. I need to experience things to believe it.
And then there was the physical discomfort. Was there also mentally things popping up in your mind,
Yeah,
old memories?
anything you've ever done that to hurt anyone is in your brain. Everything that anyone's ever hurt you with is in your brain. All these tiny little words come back to you that somebody said, somebody once did. Like, it's everything you've ever experienced that's uncomfortable came to my brain. And that was so hard. I wanted to cry. I just wanted to cry. I was so angry at myself. I was so disappointed at myself for some things I've said and done and people that I've hurt. And I was like, God, if only I could say sorry. If only I could do this. Like, it was just like, I felt like a monster at the beginning. And then the thoughts, they slow down, over time they slow down. And like with the teachings, they teach you how to still, like, to keep your mind still, and then eventually you start to like process these thoughts, feel the emotion, feel the sensation it brings to your body, and accept it, whether it's good or bad. You're just like, oh, that's a thought and that's now made me feel this way, but it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So pure non-resistance.
Purifying your mind. You are literally purifying your mind.
Yeah.
At the source, at the unconscious level. And it's towards the end of the seventh day, in the middle, I was actually in like excruciating agony. Like, I was like, this is so difficult, and I don't know what to do right now. And then you just persevere. You just don't give up. Like, practice is the key to success. Like, practice.
What was it about the seventh day? What was happening for you?
My body was just like I felt like it was bruising. I felt like just really frustrated with my body. Like, I was like, why can't I sit still? And then you just do. You just give up. You give in to the pain. You give in to the misery. You're like, this doesn't feel that bad. Like, this pain is okay. I can handle this. And then you accept pain as it is in the reality. You accept everything as it is, not as how you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's like, you're freeing from your illusion, freeing from your delusion. You're just accepting things as they are, and you're just moving through it, and you just keep moving. And then this big smile comes on your face when you start to feel like the thoughts, they're not lasting that long anymore. They used to last 15 minutes. They now last 10 seconds. And you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. These thoughts are coming in and going out, and I still feel the same. And I don't feel that bad anymore. And you feel good. And then but then you've got to be careful, because when you start feeling the good sensations, that's usually when craving, new sankharas come, like new cravings are created.
For the positive feeling.
Yes, you've got to be careful. You don't want to start craving the good sensations. You need to accept good and bad exactly the same. Everything is the same. Every sensation is the same. If you remain equanimous in the inside, that's liberation to all things outside of your body. You can control the outcome.
And what was day 8, 9, and 10 like for you?
Better. I was excited. It was over. I was excited it was coming to an end. I was excited it was going to an end. I could sit still for an hour without moving.
How slow was your mind at that point in terms of the thoughts and the monkey mind?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Every now and then, you'd get a moment of like madness. But majority of the time I was like pretty still, like pretty free from thought. And that was just something I can't believe exists. You can be free of thought. And that is just like being like ultimately present is just like spectacular. It's wonderful. Like looking at plants when you're like not thinking, is like you really observe it and you're like, God, this is real. Like I can take in this, like this thing, and it's just, I don't know, life just gets interesting in the present. It's definitely the nicest place I've ever been.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so day 10.
Yeah.
How does it end? How did they bring you out of that state?
You're allowed to talk, so you're allowed to speak. My anxiety started to kick in then, because like I felt so nice in not talking. I remember that talking is a luxury, but it's also like maybe it can be a hindrance if you've not quite grasped your vocabulary, or you're not quite in control of what comes out of your mouth. And before the Vipassana, I'm quite like a blabbermouth, like I talk and talk and talk. So I was like, oh, I finally got control of my vocal cords. I might not say something stupid anymore. first thing I'd said was something stupid. I think I said something ridiculous to someone, and I was like, why did I say that? So it was like, oh no, I don't want to talk, you know.
What was the biggest spiritual lesson that you learned from this experience?
Remain equanimous throughout, like, discomfort and comfort. What else? Loads of things, really. Like attachment. All attachment is suffering. All attachment is suffering. What else? How much love I have. I have so much love, and I can't wait to just give it and just give it and give it and give it. And you know, I always knew that I was loving, but I never knew how much. And now I can really see it inside of me, and I'm like, oh God, this is nice. Like, and also that you don't need anything. You don't need anything in this world. We don't need anything. We have everything right here. Like, that's nice to know. You know, it's quite freeing. It's quite like I've slowed down. Like, I'm not like, my desires are less. Like, I'm not desperate for things. I'm just like going with the flow now, and it's just a cool place to be.
Do you think we're lured into this addiction for needing things when we're in the matrix?
The matrix, life? Yeah, the matrix, like childhood, you know, like generally consumerism and capitalism isn't great, you know. It's like, that's, I think, in a world, there's a book called Bell Hooks wrote All About Love, where she speaks about capitalism. Like, it's hard to exist intimacy and like love and like a love ethic to exist in capitalism. They don't go hand in hand. So we're pioneers. We've got to fight back. We've got to try and like get away from this fascist crazy world and like forced capitalism. It's not real. Like, we're supposed to share resources, and we're supposed to just be loving, but you can't do that in a capitalist society. So it's like, how do we separate the two? There must be a way. How do we fight back? I think we as consumers have the power. We have the power, and we need to exercise that.
Do you think a lot of the consumerism is because people are trying to fill the gap of love? They're trying to replace...
Yeah, lovelessness.
They maybe don't feel self-love.
Yeah, it's like lovelessness homes, you know, like our upbringings. Like, it's very hard to admit this because it's a painful reality that a lot of us come from lovelessness homes, and that's not no fault of our parents or their parents. They just didn't know any better, and that creates a lacking, we fill it with material need and desire. Like, oh, maybe if I buy this car, it'll make me feel love, or maybe I'll feel good.
The self-worth, right?
It's a self-worth thing, yeah. When actually, like, no, like, go inside. You are love. You literally are.
Wow.
And you know, you need to get back to that because it's who we are.
And that's like, what the mushrooms show us.
That's what the mushrooms show us. Yeah, thank God for mushrooms. Like, thank God, because I definitely wouldn't be on this path.
Yeah. What has your journey been like with self-worth and self-love?
Self-worth is my biggest hurdle. I'd say it's my biggest hurdle. I don't really know the answers as to how I have had such little self-worth, but all I know is that I can feel it coming back with every ounce of solitude and writing and like reading and like nourishment of the soul. Slowly and surely my self-worth is coming back, and I can feel it in my hands, and it's powerful. It's a really powerful tool, you know. It takes a while.
I think solitude, it's interesting that you bring it up because it's such an important tool or way of living. Yeah. Because when you're away from everyone else's energy, you truly get to connect with your own. It's just you and you.
Well, yeah, not needing someone else to fulfill you. Like, we think we need people to feel love. Like, it's not. And you know, that cliche, it's not cliche, but a lot of people say you can't love until you love yourself. I don't know if I believe that or not, but I do believe that, like, you can only see someone as deeply as you see yourself.
Absolutely.
And I'm a true firm believer of that. Yeah. So, you know, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? We're not going to get the love from outside. We have it inside. Yes. We need to find it inside. In order to give it and to receive it, we need to dive deep into like the depths of our souls. And you know, no matter how terrifying or scary it may sound, like it isn't, because I believe that humans our true nature is awareness, which is awareness of nature, which is happiness. You know, we're naturally light beings. We've just forgotten.
We take on some density and some baggage throughout life.
We're absorbing all of this like chaotic like matrix misery. No wonder we find it hard. We lose our way, and money, you know, money like ego, money like the pain that brings on human beings is just like unbelievable.
One thing I found interesting is you said in your Vipassana journey, things that you had said to other people that had hurt them started coming up. And I thought that was really interesting, because I find that too, like something that I said regret, to someone years ago, it'll come up on a mushroom trip. And it's taught me that every moment matters. Every word you say to someone matters. Every ripple you create will come back.
100%.
Whether you call it karma or just vibration, frequency. And it'll come back not necessarily to punish you, but just to show you, hey, this
Taste
is how you...
medicine.
Exactly. And it's taught me to, as much as possible, only create positive ripples.
Absolutely.
Leave everyone better than you found them.
Absolutely. It's you reap what you sow, right? Like you really do. And like it took me a long time to realize that. I used to think, oh, it's fine, I didn't mean it. But no, like be careful. Don't hurt people. We're all hurting. You know, existing is quite difficult. Like you know, us trapped in these cubes of meat is pretty hard.
Cubes of meat.
It's like we're celestial beings and we're just like trapped in cubes of meat. Like we have to be way more compassionate with each other. It's scary. It is scary. But there's freedom from all of that fear. But whilst we're all on our journeys, like the alchemist, and you know, whilst we're all trying to find like the peace within, every single person around you is doing the same thing, and you have to be delicate and
be kind.
You have to be kind. You have to fight with kindness. Like, you know, is it the Daniels, the directors, Everything Everywhere at Once?
Yes.
So they came to me a lot in my Vipassana. That film, you know, Swiss Army Man is a fantastic film. And in that film, you know, there's a lot of singing going on in their heads in that film. Like Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano are singing, and I do that all day, every day. I hum in my head. I'm singing, some ridiculous song will come into my head. Usually David Bowie, or like, I don't know, Prince, or like something, whatever it may be. It's like songs are constantly recurring in my head. And it happened in Vipassana. I was singing and meditating, and I was like, God, this is weird. I'm constantly singing my favorite songs whilst meditating. Is that good or is that bad? But it made me think of them and how, like, I'm really proud of them as people. Like they're incredible directors, and they're really showing like fight with kindness. You know, they get it. I think they practice Vipassana. I'm convinced.
You can spot it in other people now.
Yeah, definitely, because it's like, here's the truth. You know, it's the truth. Like we have to fight with kindness. We can't fight any other way, and we have to practice what we preach. This is a big one as well. Like I hadn't practiced what I preached until recently. I had wanted to, but not quite grasped the practice bit. I would preach, but I didn't quite have a hold of my own practice. Now I can practice what I preach, and everything like makes more sense. You know, it's very important that you practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You can't just go around preaching and not actually do it.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Honestly, the most important thing is just focusing on your own growth.
Don't worry about anyone else.
Not trying to teach anyone else other than by your example.
Yeah, well, it's like, for me, like giving unwarranted advice was something I used to do as well. And that's something
guilty as well.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. It's not right. It's not fair.
No.
People, meet them where they're at. Don't force them to go anywhere. Don't like...
These days, only if someone comes to me and asks me something. That is the only time that it's like they're giving you consent to teach them something. Yeah,
this is a new rule for me too, because, you know, who the hell am I to tell somebody? I have no idea what they've gone through. Like, I know what I've gone through, but I don't know what you've gone through. You can lead, you can like like for me now, 100%, I'm going to tell people about Vipassana.
Yeah.
Not make them do it, but I'll tell them what it's done for me, and I'll hope and pray that they do it. I think every single human being should practice Vipassana. Really, I do. I think it's for me personally, my experience is it's the profound truth. It's the truth.
What is the daily practice that they teach you to do now that you're not at the retreat?
2 hours a day. So 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening.
And you're sitting, meditating?
Yeah, sitting. You can there's like an app. You can go on the app and like listen to the hour meditations, or you can do any form of meditation that works with sensation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the sensation one is it really the important tool. Like, you know, like what do you feel? Like how can you observe it without, you know, objectify it, but don't turn it into anything good or bad. Just be aware. Just be present. Just be aware of the sensations on your body. Remain equanimous and just let it pass and keep moving and stay there. Stay in your practice and be strong. And do that twice a day, and you're laughing. You know, in the end, you will experience so less cravings, less attachment. You will experience liberation. It's like a fact, you know. It's if you practice,
Mm-hmm.
You will be happy.
Should we make a reality TV show about Vipassana?
Imagine. I don't think the two would go hand in hand.
Not really.
No, but yeah, there's, you know, I was mindful that I didn't want to come out of this and sound like a missionary and start telling people, look at this, look at this.
It's too late, Jess.
It's too late, isn't it?
You've fallen into the
I've
cult.
fallen into the cult. I don't mind, to be fair. It's a great cult if it is one, but I'm trying not to sound like that. I just like, I'm so desperate for everyone to try it.
Yeah. It's the same way I feel when I tried mushrooms and then ayahuasca. I just wanted to share.
Yeah, it's hard to not
how
like
transformational, you know, because you've been transformed. And you want others to experience some of that.
But you have to let go of that control, you know, because that's the control, that's the attachment to wanting other people to feel the way you feel, you know, and that's also, again, in itself attachment. So I've got to let go, you know. I tried calling my family and being like, please do it. And they were all just like, whatever. And I was like, no, do it.
Yeah, I find that it's best after a really big experience or transformational experience to take a few days of solitude before you call anyone, because you don't want their reaction mixing in with your first-hand experience.
It hurts a bit, but again, you have to just that hurt, whatever, but it hurts when people like it don't take you seriously or something, you know. You've just got to be like, okay, there's nothing I can do here. But you know, if you like the way I am now, do the Vipassana.
Jess, what is the biggest spiritual lesson you learned in this year?
This year?
This last year, yeah.
Oh God. Oh God. I would say it's love and compassion, and treat every single living sentient thing with love and compassion. That's the biggest one for me this year, 100%. Another experience that I'm experiencing, that this is quite off key, this one, but I feel like I should tell you anyway while we're at it. Like I keep thinking, you know, this is a dream, and it feels more and more like a dream every day. And by that I mean, you know, we're consciously creating our reality, and if you are consciously creating your reality with love and compassion, then it's inevitable that your dream is going to be quite nice.
Yes.
You know, and that's something that I'm taking. So I'm like, my dream, you know, sometimes I like I get inside my head a lot, sometimes too much, but you know, I'm like recently I've been overwhelmed by the feeling of the dream feeling, and like almost a bit like frightened, like, oh wow, I'm creating this, but at the same time it's like it's incredibly exciting if that theory is correct. How exciting.
I definitely feel like we're living in a dream,
right
or I guess some people call it simulation, but to me the dream state, it's like, and we get a hint of that every night when we fall asleep. we have a completely realistic, sensory, real feeling dream,
Yeah.
and then we wake up. And I feel like it's there partly to teach us that this is just a big extended dream.
Yes,
a
it
little bit
is.
more consistent, a little bit less chaotic than your nighttime
It feels
dreams.
real though, doesn't it? Like it feels.
Yeah.
It's very. What's the word?
Tangible,
compelling. Yeah, like
compelling.
It's a compelling.
It's engaging.
It's engaging. Yeah,
the illusion is engaging.
Yeah, it's engaging. It's fascinating. It's incredible. Like I can't believe tables and chairs. I love chairs. Oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. So
for anyone wondering what Jess is doing these days after Made in Chelsea, chairs.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm making chairs and vases and mirrors because I'm like, it's like suchness, isn't it? Like I can't believe that you can imagine something and then see it in this illusion, in this dream. It feels hard. So I'm really enjoying the designing in my brain, seeing it in my hand. I'm like, oh my god, I made this. It's like such a crazy.
It's really cool to make something real.
It's
from your imagination.
From your imagination, to have it in your hand is just like. Insane. It's insane.
It's intoxicating.
It's intoxicating. So I'm at the moment that is my path. Creating stories. Hopefully, in the end, some more directing. But right now, it's definitely making my dreams tangible in this realm.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying that game.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And you mentioned something really cool, which is that when you infuse your dream with love and compassion, it reflects that back to you. And I find that so true.
Right?
And if you infuse it with anxiety and feeling sorry for yourself, feeling
greed.
like a victim or greed, it will reflect back
100%. 100%. Like make everything, touch everything with love. Like, obviously it's easier said than done, but especially with designing, I think that's maybe how it works, Another thing, I watched Inception the other day.
Oh yeah,
and
amazing film.
I haven't finished it because it overwhelmed me, because I couldn't believe like that they've made a film about that. I can't believe that I was watching it. I was like, is this real? Like the fact that she's designing the architecture of her dream, and then she shifts, and then people look at her and clock her, because it's like they're realizing that, like, it's like the dream's collapsing on her. I've actually felt that happen to me a few times, where I've been like, is my dream collapsing on me because I'm too aware of it? Or is my dream,
maybe this timeline is collapsing, while another one is being built for you?
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, okay, have I gone absolutely balmy mad, or is something really strange happening right now? And another thing is the moon, right? I just sent you this thing this morning.
Yes.
Like, this is something I want to talk about, right? So lunatic, right? Lunatic. Like I love that word, I like the word lunatic. Like it's like moon, lunar, eclipse, a tick. But I have always had this feeling that the moon isn't a rock. Like it isn't. It's a plasma. It's like a hologram. It's like projecting. I think that might have something to do with the dream state. I think the moon is controlling our spiritual growth.
In a good way or a bad way?
Depends, I think, on the human.
Dive into this a little more. I'm so curious to hear.
I just have a feeling that I haven't dove into it yet fully, but I've seen a couple of things online, like is it David Icke talks about it, and how the moon could be a sort of projection, and that we never did land on the moon. It was just bullshit. And that maybe it's something greater than that. It's something more powerful than that. It's something less tangible, less solid, and guiding us. Guiding us. Who knows? But I definitely, as a woman, feel very controlled by something lunar. My menstrual cycle, my emotional cycle, the people I hang out with. Like I feel like the moon is in control of me.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny because
it's in my heart.
A lot of people don't track their moods necessarily, but it could be that it is being affected by the lunar cycle.
Yeah, well, it could be wrong. Obviously, everything I say is just my own interpretation, but it's how I feel.
I do remember reading, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but there are some strange properties about the moon. That it's the shape of it, the exact size, how it matches to the sun when there's an eclipse.
Yeah, it's
There's a
spooky.
couple of spooky things that make it seem like it's an artificially designed satellite.
Yes.
That it's not just this natural random formation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a fascinating
I
subject.
agree. I think we should dive into it. We should look into it more.
We should look into it.
You know, imagine if that is the truth. Imagine if that is that's controlling this fantastically terrifying but amazing hologram. You know, that
hologram. Yeah, that's how I call it too.
Yeah, it feels that way.
I do like to also instill in myself the belief that despite any outside control, we are also creators.
Yes.
And that at the end of the day, it's your consciousness creating the hologram.
Yeah.
Your consciousness.
But maybe
is in
that's
charge
what
of the
ignites it. You know, maybe that's what starts the fire or something inside of us. Like I'm trying to think about what the correlation is between the moon and us. I want to know. I'm going to try and find out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We are the ones consciously creating our reality, and it's sad sometimes that when you know that some people that you know may never get there or may never get to that point in their life where they realize that, and that makes me feel sad.
I think everyone is realizing things at their own pace, and also mushrooms help. They open you up to a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely more open-minded since I did psychedelics.
Yeah.
And it just happens over time naturally, right?
Yeah.
Jess, talk to me about the biggest risk you've taken in life.
Oh my God, risk.
Yeah.
Biggest risk.
In the moment, you didn't know if the net would be there, but you jumped.
I think when I move around a lot, even coming to Indonesia this time was scary. It was a risk that I was going to lose where I'd got to in my life in London, and I've been lucky to achieve some things in London, and things started to move for me.
On the filmmaking front?
Yeah, I found an incredible production company called Compulsory, and I love them. Such nice people, great people, and we have started to form a really nice bond. And I kind of was like, okay, I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank God you exist, but I really need to do this right now. I'm being called to spiritually shift. There's so many things inside of me I'm not contented with, and I need to figure that out.
Yeah.
I need to change.
Because if you keep going on that path without having figured out the spiritual piece.
Yeah, I needed to make a big change in order to, because that is, I'm so grateful for that, right? I need to change first in order to do it properly.
How cool is it that you have that self-awareness and also you feel the call and you follow it?
Right.
A lot of people feel the call
and don't follow it.
They shut it down.
Yeah, well, because of fear of losing what they've achieved, right? Or fear of losing what they might achieve, or fear of comfort, losing that comfort.
They're looking at it too objectively.
Yeah.
Whereas they should be looking at, what is my heart
what is
telling me? What is my soul calling me towards?
Yeah. Well, my soul was calling me towards meditation and diving into my soul. Really, it was like I needed to take a good look and clean out those impurities. I needed to accept a lot of things about myself. I needed to, and I also, I was dying to see if I could design something and see if I could follow that path too.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's an opportunity to dive inside of my soul and hopefully find an incredible artist in Indonesia that might help me. So, and I found a really, really amazing artist who's helping me with the designs, and that's just I'm so grateful.
It's so fun to collaborate with someone who is better at a certain specific thing than you,
absolutely.
and you can you can engage their talent
Yeah.
to fulfill your vision of something.
Yeah, well,
very similar to filmmaking as well.
Exactly. And Bali being like the land of craftsmanship, like these humans are so good at what they do. They're so good at what they do, and they're so kind. Like they're so kind, and this person I found is so kind, and that's like, that's all I've ever wanted, is just someone to just like rub off to and just be like happy and just like try and figure it out. And there's no pressure, there's no like do this, do that. It's just like, let's try and build something sweet together and see if it works, and just pray that it works. And he's like that too. There's no pressure.
It is part of the magic of Bali, of how kind everyone is. And it's hard to describe unless you really experience it. The moment you land in the airport, you feel that people are more friendly and they're more open.
Well, there's a chance of friendship here. Like, whereas like I think sometimes in London I would say we're all quite like, we're not that trusting, we don't there's not so much trust in London. Maybe that's personal, but here there's like an opportunity to trust. It feels like there's more opportunity to trust here, and maybe that leads to friendship.
What has your journey been like with trust?
Oh gosh, oh gosh, you know what? It's a difficult one. Like, I trust. I think it comes from within, and I hadn't trusted myself for like quite a long time. For example, like I wouldn't say things and not finish them, or I would I don't know. I didn't trust my love for myself. I didn't trust myself for a long time. And that resulted in not trusting others, right? So I didn't trust anyone else because I didn't trust myself.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's like it comes from within.
I think so. And I didn't know that. So I was just like, why is everyone so untrustworthy? Or why is everybody wronging me? Or like, it was all more like, why are they doing this to me? And it's like, no, it's me. So I had to realize that it was me, and it's all me, and I had to learn to trust myself. And I'm only just getting there now. I'm only really just touching the surfaces of like fully trusting who I am, and like trusting my word, and like following through and finishing things, and not telling white lies to get out of trouble. It's not, I used to do that all the time, and like,
it's convenient, but it bites you in the ass. It
bites you in the ass. It's just like, it's destined for failure if you just pollute the air with lies. And like, I would lie when I was little to get away from my mom telling me off, right? So I would just didn't
go out, or I
would just completely lie to her poor face about what I was up to. And I think it stays with you, those little lies and those little like impurities. You learn them at a young age to get out of trouble, and then you end up like not being very honest, and then you have to big reality check that's not the way forward, and you have to unlearn those impurities, or else you're in trouble. Lies and things like that are
aligning with truth
back to you,
as much as possible.
Yeah.
And also because you wouldn't want other people to do that to you.
No. Well, you are like the world is as you are, right? So if you're a trustworthy person, like, you're going to be drawing in trustworthy people.
And you feel it too.
Vice versa.
When you're aligned with truth, you're more aware of those that are maybe not so much aligned.
100%. And like, if you're like not sure about yourself, you're not going to be sure about someone else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you could enter a relationship without fully trusting yourself.
That's a good one. Yeah.
How could you do that?
How can you have a healthy relationship?
It's a completely paranoia. Like, it's complete. Like, are they going to do this to me? Are they telling the truth? Is this genuine? Do they really love me? Like, it's just going to be constant turmoil until you find the basis of trust within yourself.
Jess, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned about love and relationships?
Oh God. A few things. So when when I was younger, I truly believe that I fell in love with David Bowie, and like it's actually quite mad to think that that happened to me, because you know when your first ever whoever you fancy the most when you were little was, I watched the film The Labyrinth that I'm sure a lot of people watched, and I literally fell in love with this character, the Goblin King. You know, it was like my fantasy to like, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like I just fell in love with him. And that was my first ever experience with unrequited love, was loving somebody that didn't exist. So that was my first ever experience of love. And his and then it just led me to like being in love with his lyrics, and his lyrics helped me with spirituality. You know, he's a profound human being. He's like the Messiah.
Brought you to Ibiza, which brought you to mushrooms.
Which brought me to, right? So it's like this weird, love doesn't make any sense, but when I was little I was convinced I was in love with David Bowie. I still kind of am, but that was my first unrequited love experience. And then as I got older, I've just had really it's been turbulent. Actually, it's been very turbulent, my experience with love. I know my mum recently opened up to me about when we were little, she was incredibly paranoid that we were going to get hurt. And she was really, you know, she loved us so much that she had a lot of fear based around her emotion. You know, she was so terrified that anything would happen to us that I think I like accidentally took on that like fear and like that paranoia when I was little. So I kind of think that like kind of merged into like what love was for me. Like love was scary, you know, and that love was like a scary, quite fearful thing. Anxious, and like intimacy was scary, and like not, you know, it wasn't her fault, but she was just so scared of anything happening to us.
And we pick up so much from our parents subconsciously that we have to unlearn or redefine later on in life.
Yeah. And I think, and then, you know, I remember having like a first boyfriend that I loved very much, and he was a lovely human being, and that was nice, but it ended really badly. And your first relationship can really affect you, right? Like it really did. And I remember that heartache, like carrying that heartache for a long, long time. And then, you know, not trusting myself and entering into relationships has been a nightmare, right? So every relationship I have entered in has been slightly unhealthy, because I haven't been healthy. I've not been a healthy human being. I've been unhealthy toward myself. And I've probably picked unhealthy partners. So I've definitely experienced love, but I've not experienced a healthy love. I have, you know, there's people in my life that I love, and I have soulmates, but I have a soulmate, I think, and, you know, somebody that like sets your soul on fire and accepts you for who you are. And I'm lucky to experience that kind of love. It's unconditional, it feels. Well, so it seems. It feels that way because, you know, we're not together, and I feel so strongly about that person, and I don't even think I need to be with that person. I might not ever be with that person, but that love is always there, and that's something that I can't believe I get to experience.
You've met them before, though?
I've met this person.
Yeah, so
it's not David Bowie.
Oh, okay. Because I have heard that. I did hear about a certain Paolo Nutini that caught your eye.
Yeah, he also caught my eye, yeah. He's absolutely gorgeous, isn't he? Yeah, I love his lyrics as well. He's an incredible musician. I think I love people that like have cryptic messages in their music, and they, you know, there's a little underlying like secret that you've got to find out in it. Like, I think they're enlightened. You know, they're enlightened beings, and they're singing, and I'm like, oh my god, and listening to their enlightenment I love that.
So this unconditional love you feel for this unnamed person.
I'm not naming the person, but I feel so much love toward that person, and that's been really nice to feel, to be able to feel that way towards someone and not need or have any attachment to them. That's like the first time I've ever really felt that way. You know, I've always like been quite attached to the people I love. Therefore, it's not free. You know, there's no freedom in that love. There's just entrapment. I've never been able to love without attachment. So this is something I'm working on now.
And in this case, you don't need to be with them.
No, No, I just
You
love
just
them.
love them.
Yeah, I just love them.
It reminds me of something Abraham Hicks said in one of their books, or it might have been a lecture. Find someone easy to love.
Yeah.
Or something. So it's like
Yeah.
they even talk about imagining a kitten, and just loving the kitten,
Yeah.
or a puppy, or in this case, a person. It's like, think of all the things that are easy to love
Yeah.
to generate the frequency of love in your soul,
Yeah.
which will then attract more of that same vibration
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. And, not needing anything from this love. Like love is supposed to be liberation, not entrapment, right?
Yes.
Just because I love you doesn't mean I get something from you. You're supposed to just love. It's not. It's not transactional. Relationships can be transactional, but love shouldn't be.
When you add conditions to it and you add attachments.
Well, I understand that relationships have conditions. Like, to make a relationship last, it has to have conditions. Like, I accept that that is the case for a relationship. If you can love someone and not be in a relationship, and that can be unconditional. But once the relationship starts to arise, there's conditions. There's boundaries, and they're there to be respected. And that's how I think relationships last: is respect and honesty and freedom.
Do you also find that as you get older, you look for different things in love? When you're younger, it might be more about looks or status or excitement.
Yeah.
And when you get older, you look for a similar soul, someone who understands you.
All I really, really wanted is people that I'm aligned with, like fully aligned with. And like, I think any authentic human being can love any authentic human being. And I think that alignment is just like that ingredient, and it's just the timing. And if you find someone that is fully aligned with you and you're on the same path, yeah, great. Of course I would be in a relationship with that person if they felt the same way as me. I haven't quite found that yet.
It's coming.
I think so. But also, like, okay if it doesn't. Like, I've made peace with the fact that maybe, I think you have to make peace with the fact that you might not be with someone. You might love lots of people and different people at different times, but you might not have one partner. And that's been something quite hard to accept, but it's necessary. And I think when you start accepting that, that's when love probably comes in.
When you don't look for it and you're happy with yourself and you're living life, that's when it comes out of the blue.
I think so. But again, I'm not worried about it. I used to be so worried about it. I used to be so like, oh God, am I going to be alone? And then when I realized that being alone is actually like the most powerful thing, and that's where my awakening lied. So I would never have found that if I was in a relationship. So I'm like very grateful that mine didn't work out. I'm very grateful that the love was painful and that the things were toxic or unhealthy, because they've led me to solitude, which has led me to me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be me without the solitude.
I read a quote just yesterday. First it pains you, then it changes you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thought, so true.
That's so true.
Where you're almost grateful for the pain years later.
100%. Like, I forgive, and I hope that everyone forgives me that hurt me or I hurt. I hope that, because, without these little things, there's no way that I would have gone through what I've gone through, mentally and spiritually.
And it's also about forgiving yourself.
Yeah, which is a hard one, by the way.
It is the hardest.
I find that the hardest thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like, you've done things in life. I'm trying to reach out actually to people, anyone that I've ever wronged or
that is really powerful.
I'm trying to do that now, and I've sent a couple messages just being like, I'm really sorry for anything I ever did when we were younger and I was ignorant.
I've done that as well.
Yeah,
it really relieves the weight of it.
Yeah, and also they remember most of the time. Some people don't, but if you have been a little shit, it's good to call yourself out, and it's good to end that ignorance and apologize, because that's also freeing for you, right? It's freeing for them and it's freeing for you.
It may mean more to them than they let on.
100%.
To get a call out of the blue years later.
Yeah.
And have closure about something that happened or something you did, or even if it was unintentional.
Yeah.
There's an exercise that one of the previous podcast guests, he literally made a list of every
Yeah.
single person that
Yeah.
he has wronged or has had any
Yeah.
conflict with, and he went and found as all of them, as
Yeah.
many as he could.
Yeah.
And one of them was a lady he found who didn't even remember
No, he was.
who he was. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
And she was a bit older and, was maybe just forgetful. And she's like, oh, well, you seem like a perfectly nice gentleman. I'm sure whatever you did wasn't that bad. And so it's just funny that, but it still is worth it to go and find everyone or as many people that are
as
on
you
your
can.
mind. And they'll come up on mushroom trips for me as well.
Oh, massively.
Like I'll be
Their
like, oh,
faces.
I've got to call that person.
Yeah, do you know in that scene in Harry Potter when at the end when he's killing Voldemort?
Yeah.
And when the people come into his loved ones come into his psyche, right?
Yes.
I actually feel that happens to me on mushrooms quite a lot, and it happened to me in my Vipassana. I envisioned some family members and some people I loved were with me, and they were like, keep going. It was very a Harry Potter-esque moment, and I was like, oh God, this is crazy. And then sometimes that happens to me when people I've hurt or hurt me, they come up in my brain, and I see their face quite clearly, and I forgive them in that realm. But it would be nice to forgive them in the physical world too, because or apologize, because I think. Yeah, I just think it's quite necessary, even if they don't remember who you are. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Are there situations or people where you found it hard to forgive them because it was so painful, or you feel like they never properly owned up to it?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No.
What changed?
Ego. Yeah. Ego.
So you think if someone can't forgive someone, it's their ego blocking them?
I do think so.
Not actually the other person.
I do think so. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. There's probably maybe some other reasons. Actually, not actually no, because then there's abuse, isn't there? There's violence, and that's quite hard. Quite hard. I've never experienced severe violence, so I don't know about that one. I can't vouch for it. But I reckon that would be incredibly difficult to overcome. But I guess it's the forgiving. For you, right? It's like when you hold on to a bad negative thought, it's energy. It creates energy in your mind. So it's important to release that karmic umbilical cord.
Yeah.
It's like an umbilical cord, an energetic umbilical cord you have with that person. You need to cut it.
Yes.
And to cut it, you have to forgive them.
Yes.
Because they have power over you.
Yes.
They have power over you, I think. If you haven't forgave them.
How does someone cut the cord? Is it really just forgiveness, or is there another way of doing
probably,
it?
I don't know, it could be forgiveness and compassion maybe together, but maybe having compassion for why they did what they did, and maybe trying to see why, because in my head, hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. They're hurting. When I hurt people, I'm hurting. It comes from a place of complete and utter pain, lashing out, and not unresolved trauma or unresolved whatever it may be. It's because I'm hurt.
I think the difficult one for me is when they're not even aware of how much they hurt you.
Yeah.
They're on such a different frequency.
Yeah.
That to them it's no big deal, and they don't acknowledge what actually happened.
Their path. Or you might be dealing with a narcissist. You could be dealing with a psychopath or a sociopath, which happens all the time, right? So it's trying to come between. It's it's trying to figure out, even if they are a narcissist or not. That word, I know it gets thrown around quite easily, but whatever that person is, they're on their path, and again, we can't make them feel admit.
For sure.
It's hard though, because you want them to be sorry, but whatever, you can still forgive them anyway. But I think most people do feel remorse. The occasional mentally ill person might not ever.
What was the most difficult challenge in your life that you've had to overcome?
I would say it's right now, and it's Vipassana, and it's confronting my ego. I think it's the most difficult. That was the most difficult situation. Accepting that I had and have a huge ego that
Don't we all?
needs
On
to
some
dissolve.
level? Yeah.
And that it's like you're at war
Mm.
with this other person inside of your brain that's like it's just stubborn, stubborn and like bitter, and just not you. That's not who we are. It's not the self. The true self isn't that way. So liberating to know that I'm not the ego, difficult to fight it off.
Do you think there's a way to make friends with the ego?
Alliance. I think
Yeah.
you do in the end, because some people say that ego is like good and it's drive, but no, it's not. Ego. I don't think the ego has any love and compassion. But you can at least you can begin to accept that there is a part of you that has an ego, and you need to. I'm working on trying to dissolve it completely. The end game is to not have one. It may take years, but I'm going to try.
Have you ever been called to ayahuasca?
I haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. I think about it. People around me have done it. People around me have done it for wrong reasons. Like people have done it to like because they need something, because they want something, because they're trying to end addiction, because like not necessarily being called, they're like forcing it. And I'm quite aware of that. So I'm like, oh, I don't resonate with that. So I'm waiting until I feel the full call. I might never feel it, I might never feel it. I hope I do, because it's like.
I do find for me it was one of the most ego dissolving experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that and
Yeah.
DMT.
Yes.
For me, it was like mushrooms, but maybe 100 times more intense.
Oh, wow.
And it just completely dissolves it. And
Really?
it shows you the light and the shadow, and it transforms me,
What was it like?
Really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first hour, I really thought I'd made a mistake.
Really?
Because it was so much grief was coming up and so much sadness. And I thought, oh God, if this is going to be it for the next 8 hours, I'm in for a rough ride. But because of my mushroom experience, I knew the arc of a trip, that it's never the same. It's going to flow, it's going to ebb, and there's going to be different stages of it. So I kind of held on for dear life.
Yeah.
And eventually it cracked me open. It's like the resistance cracks.
How long was the trip?
I'd say a good 6 to 8 hours. It's hard to quantify the time because also it feels, when you're in that trip, time kind of doesn't exist.
Yes.
But it was from maybe 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
It went from one of the, oh my God, this might be the worst experience, to this is the most beautiful experience.
Has it affected your life?
It cleared up a lot of blocks for me energetically. It felt like I came out of it with my hardware, software rearranged,
Really,
like a reset.
reprogramming.
Reformatted.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it's wild to think that we're sort of like, sometimes I'm like, can you rewire your brain? And I truly believe that you can.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Like,
I find that it takes a few trips, like with mushrooms, for example. The very first time you do mushrooms, it can be a little strange, might not do much for you. But if you keep engaging with the plant medicine,
yes.
over time,
Yeah.
it shifts you little by little by
100%.
little. And then you look back and you're like, wow, I'm a different person.
Yeah, yeah. I also feel like with like my tools for like life, mushrooms in small occasions when I feel called to it, and now meditation, Vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation is like doing mushrooms without the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that felt. It felt I didn't need the substance. I was just thrown into that, like the world above, like the material in between the physical. There's like there's a realm here that we sometimes go into in meditation, and once the thoughts are gone, that felt like I was tripping. So I actually felt high.
Wow.
I felt really high for a lot of it. a lot of the end of the Vipassana, I felt like I was tripping.
I recently tried breath work
I haven't tried this.
and it felt like a DMT trip.
Really?
Oh my God. It was one of the most incredible experiences for me. Because like you, I was like, wow, I don't need any substance. It's just breath in and out. And it was affecting me on a vibrational level, on a frequency level. I was buzzing.
Yeah.
It was truly like tripping.
Yeah.
And such a release.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's like your body like sort of disintegrates, you know, like it's like your
starts tingling.
It's just wild. It's like it's hard to describe. I wish I could describe it like I had better elocution, but you at the end of the Vipassana, what I experienced was your physical body like kind of just goes, it like disappears. It's like you're not there anymore. It almost feels like you're nor here nor there.
In between?
Yeah, you're in between. You're in between. You're in like
this hybrid state.
Yeah. And it's really, really calm. And a bird, like for example, a bird would tweet and it would go through you. Like the ripples of the sound would go through your entire body. You could feel it in your toes. You could feel it passing through your body from like one side, because the bird would be up there and it would like penetrate you.
That's
and it
so
was
cool.
like, whoa, that bird was loud. You know, that bird was so loud. And birds, again, like synchronicity for me. I love birds. And in Aldous Huxley's book Island, the birds, like the Mayan birds or whatever they're called, he sees these. This is profound. I've kept this close to me. The birds are shouting attention. So the birds are shouting attention. The word, like I think they're saying the word attention.
They were trained by the villagers.
They were trained by the villagers to shout the word attention, attention. So every time a bird would chirp, it would say attention, attention. Like, you know, pay attention.
Be in the present.
Be in the present. And now every time I see a bird tweet, I'm like, attention, attention. So that's what I think they're saying to me.
That's amazing.
And, yeah, and it's nice because that's stuck with me. It's like, you know, in life, what we keep is what makes us who we are, right? You know, we accumulate all these things, but it's what we keep. It's what we keep. And
wow, what we keep makes us who we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think so.
And such a reminder to let go of what we don't want to keep.
We don't
let
need
go
to,
of the baggage.
What doesn't serve us is not who we are. Like landscape, you know, he talks about how landscape reminds us what we are not. Like landscape reminds us who we are. Like landscape, looking at landscape.
Like an open field or a forest?
Yes,
or?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I've been recently experiencing a ridiculous amount of butterflies, and I like to the point where it's actually wild. I think I see like 10, 11 a day.
That's a synchronicity.
It's a synchronicity. And I'm really happy with that one because they're so beautiful. And they're so nice.
Are you a good manifester?
I don't know.
Let's dive into manifestation.
Yeah, talk to me. I need to know more about it. I know that I've now got this Bible. I've got this Bible. I've called it like a me Bible, where I just write down my manifestations, my thoughts, what happened yesterday, because I usually forget what happened yesterday and I want to remember. So I'll write down what's come into my head that day, and then I'll read it in the morning. I'll be like, what happened yesterday, because you know it's gone, you know, it doesn't exist, only now exists. I like to remind myself about like what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Do you spot patterns in that?
Oh, absolutely. But it's usually me being like, hey, babe, you did that today. Don't do that again. Don't do that again, honey. Or like, you know, something I found out that day, some bit of research that stuck with me that we really want to remember.
What was the last thing you said, babe? Don't do that again.
Oh, God. A pattern was arising. A human being was coming into my life that reminds me of my past.
Old energy.
An old energy was arising. And it was bringing me back to who I was. It was where I'm going. It was where I was, not where I'm going.
Yes.
And I was engaging with that person, and I should have just given love and compassion and said goodbye, but there was something inside of me that was like still engaging, so that was a bit of an unhealthy habit.
I relate to that a lot.
Right?
It's like we will keep repeating the same energetic
Until we learn.
interplay with someone until we say no.
Yeah.
No more.
It's us, right? So we break
consent
the
to
cord.
it.
Yeah.
We break the cord and then move forward. Don't look back.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that popped up on a mushroom trip for me. It's like, just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
If you keep looking in the rear view mirror, you just, there's no point. You can't make the destination you're going to. You cannot hold two frequencies at the same time. The old frequency and this new exciting one that you want to inhabit. You must be disciplined and choose one. And that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah. And I think with regards to manifestation, I don't think it's easy to manifest when you're clinging onto old patterns. I think old patterns are there to be eradicated.
You're manifesting more old patterns.
Right? That's this, with the Vipassana, you're multiplying by engaging in these impurities. You're multiplying your misery, and you're multiplying your sankharas and your bad cravings, and like you're not allowing space and room for manifestations and like clarity. You need to be free. You need to be clear. You need to have a pure mind to manifest. I don't think manifestation works unless you're clean.
Yes. Yeah. There has to be a pure frequency.
There's got to be some level of purity there, I think. Manifestation. Yeah, I don't.
Would you say that you manifested your experience on Made in Chelsea? That there was a part of you that desired that and brought into your experience?
Oh God, I don't know. Potentially, like maybe because I knew the people that were on that show, and it seemed like something exciting. It seemed like glamorous. It seemed glamorous. Yeah, there's a chance that I did manifest that. I can't remember though. I wish I could.
I also find the more mushrooms I do, the more I realize how connected our thoughts and feelings are to the reality, the hologram and its reflections.
Yeah.
Even on the trips themselves, the moment I have a negative thought, things will start reflecting to me in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, but there was a trip where I had a negative thought, and immediately like my neighbor in the guest house would like drop something, or like there would be like noises to like reflect back the discord.
Yeah.
And then the moment I became peaceful, everything quiets down.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean about inception. Like like I was feeling really paranoid the other day. Like I had this like overwhelming like wave of paranoia, and when I started feeling the paranoia, I started thinking that everyone was like looking at me. But I was like, why is everyone looking at me? Like, am I going crazy? The paranoia was manifesting in reality. And then when I was like, whoa, stop, it stopped.
Yeah.
It just instantly stopped.
We are the generators of
I think so. And I think if you are generating a negative dream, if you are constantly like choosing the negative, like, oh well, that's not going to happen, or this isn't going to happen, or don't trust anyone, or all of those little things will play out like a play for you, until you can get hold of those negative thoughts. It will keep playing out.
I think of this as a playground for your consciousness to learn how to direct the energy.
Yeah.
You come here and you experience all these reflections, and it's like you're playing out whatever you're thinking in your mind.
Yeah.
It comes a little with a delay, comes later.
Yeah.
But it's like you're playing with your own consciousness.
Yeah. Thoughts become things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite scary, really. But just a big shift to really focus on like the positive mental attitude. Really, it's real. It really is real.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is your charisma, because you have a very natural charisma to you.
What does charisma actually mean?
It's this magnetism. And so when you walk into a room, you light it up.
Really?
And I'm curious if that's something that was always a natural thing to you, or something that you learned, or do you notice it in yourself?
That's a very nice thing to say. Thank you. I I don't know. I can't see it at that.
Really?
No.
You create the Jess Woodley vibe.
No, I can't see that. I can't see that.
It's like when you were saying you're a good talker. That's part of it as well. There's a social charisma to it.
Maybe, like, I don't know. I don't notice that because I've been very, very insecure. So it's like I can't see that. Like sometimes I feel like good vibes, like I give off good vibes and it's reciprocated, or other way around, but I can't see what you see. So like sometimes I wish I could, I wish I could see what you see, but I can't. So I don't know.
All right.
It's a shame.
I think, yeah, it's one of those things that maybe you have to give yourself credit for, or see it eventually.
That's nice. I hope I do eventually see what you see.
Mm.
That would be nice.
Is there anything that for those maybe who are struggling with confidence, or struggling with self-love,
Yeah.
any advice that you can recommend to them?
I think everyone really struggles with self-love and self-worth, and I think that's okay. I think it's really normal. I think the whole point of being here is alchemy. We are trying to get to that place, and it might take a while, and you should definitely not be discouraged at not feeling fully in love with yourself right now. I think it's a quest. It's like a journey. It takes time. Don't give up. Healing isn't linear in any way, shape, or form, and we will keep repeating some things until they're learned. And to love oneself takes devotion to things like solitude, and to things like boundaries, and compassion for yourself. Compassion doesn't work unless it's extended to yourself. You can't just go giving other people compassion. It needs to be extended to yourself.
Yes.
In order it to be real.
Same with love.
Yeah, same with love. Yeah, like it's my advice from my personal experiences is solitude. Solitude.
That's going to be the title of this episode.
Be alone. Alone and unafraid.
Who is the most visionary person in your life or in history that inspires you?
David Bowie. David Bowie. Yeah.
What is it about him that sparks you?
His charisma, his ability to draw you into his psyche. Like he's definitely I've idolized him from youth, and it's because I've found so many cryptic messages in his lyrics, and so much like I know for a fact that human reached a level of enlightenment. At one point I think he wanted to go be a monk and give everything up, but he was having too much fun in his game, in his dream, that he used the enlightenment that he found and then used it in his art.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
It's his fearlessness too, right?
He's just completely fearless, and he's unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to be. I hope to be like that. I think he's admirable. I think all people that are unapologetically themselves are really interesting. There's a lot of people I admire. Like now I'm starting to really admire this author called Bell Hooks. I can't believe the way she speaks about love and compassion and our society. She's someone that I'm going to lean into now.
What's a book by her that you recommend?
It's called All About Love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm halfway through it now, and I just it's becoming my new favorite book.
You also mentioned to me Miranda July.
Miranda Julie, I think is her
Julie?
name.
Okay.
Yeah, Miranda Julie is someone. Oh yeah, she's up there with David Bowie. She's a really interesting character. She's a director, she's a writer, and I really resonate with her because she's so free. She's free. Like she doesn't care what people think about her. She's unapologetically herself, and she's got such a peculiar way of talking about her experiences. She's a proper storyteller to me.
Yeah, I actually have read some of her work. I think there was an article she wrote about shoplifting that was really funny.
She's
And
hilarious.
it's like the style of writing is
It's
fantastic.
fantastic. It's like pure stream of consciousness.
She says things that you think about,
Yeah,
but you've
that
never
no
put it
one would
into
say.
words.
Yeah,
And you're like, wow,
yeah,
this is incredible.
yeah. She's an idol for me too.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's free. She's allowed me to write the way I want to write.
Yeah.
She's allowed me to, like, even with things like treatments, like her reading her work encouraged me to be myself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We also got a shout out to Niels Fromm because you
Yeah. Oh
showed
my
me
God. Yeah.
fundamental values.
Right.
I was
right.
aware of his music, but I'd never seen the
Yeah,
performance.
yeah.
And when I saw that music
The way
video,
he touches the
it was it was
piano.
incredible.
Yeah, he feels like he's channeling to me.
Yeah.
You know, he's channeling some his celestial being is just like moving, you know, like in this realm. He's fantastic. He's fantastic. I got him from that film that we like, you know, Victoria.
Yes.
That was passed on by me from a friend, and then obviously, you know, that film is fantastic. Everybody loves that film, but he did the soundtrack to that, I think, and that was where I found him.
And talking of films,
Yeah.
what makes 2001: A Space Odyssey an important film to you?
Oh God, so many reasons really. Stanley Kubrick, just in general, is like, you know, he's like a glitch in the Matrix. You know, he's like he's spreading messages. You know, he's so important.
Has he inspired your own filmmaking work?
Probably, yeah, probably. Like I think it's the same with everyone. Like he was fearless. I like the fact that he exposes a lot of things. I think that's so exciting, and like his ambition was just like through the roof, isn't it? You know, I like Space Odyssey because of the time, like the length of it. I like the like almost the arrogance,
the slowness.
Yeah. I like the arrogance that he had that like took so long to get from one scene to the next. It was almost like life. Like it was like a portrayal of life, like the longevity of days, and like it felt like relative. It felt relatable. I also really like how in the end, you know, the big thing that they worship looks like an iPhone.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, is he trying to tell us something? Like it looks like a piece of internet. It looks like an iPhone. Like I was like.
And weren't they using basically kind of like iPads in one part of the movie?
Yeah.
I think.
There was something going on there,
like
basically.
Tablet, like.
There's some sort of tablet going on in those films, and I'd love to know what that meant. But again, Stanley Kubrick, yeah, he's eyes wide shut like that. You know, that terrified me, but it was like, it's the truth, you know. It's like, it's peeling our eyes open to the illusion that we live in. And I also found Terry Gilliam. Do you know Terry Gilliam?
Brazil, I think.
Yeah, Brazil. Yeah, he did Brazil. Yeah, his work is great, isn't it? Because, you know, Dr. Parnassus, like that film where Heath Ledger was in, like it's just so obscure. Like, it's the art is just like, you know, it takes you to their worlds, which I think is cool. They have their own style. They're not like anyone else. You know, they're completely original.
You've directed a few music videos. How is that like, and what's the biggest thing you've learned from directing?
I'm new and I'm green. Like I've done some adverts and I've done some bits and bobs, but I've only really just started to embark on that journey. And so far, I feel like such a big pull to do this because of storytelling, because of like it's your message, right? Like you're trying to relay something inside of you. You're trying to manifest something inside of you through someone else's work. So like you're collaborating with an artist and you're manifesting it. You're trying to merge dreams, basically.
Their music and your
their
vision.
music, your vision, like the dream, and I find that really fun. So I'm like, the fact that we can at least try and merge our dreams together is just like a crazy experience. Like I'm so grateful to even be given an opportunity from an artist, and I think it's very important that you resonate with that artist so that your dreams can collide, because obviously sometimes dreams just won't collide, right? It'll just be like, no, I don't feel that way about the universe, or I don't feel that way about karma, or I don't feel that way about life. You need to find someone you really, really resonate for it to work.
Almost like a relationship.
Yeah.
There has to be trust.
The ingredients have to be there. Like you have to be like on the same page mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I think, for it to work. And to give them, because it's their art, like it's their soul. Like you need to like try and give them, you want to do the best job you can. You want them to be like so ecstatic about what it is that you've done. Like, so I've got a long way to go, but I love writing treatments. Like the treatments thing is fun because you can like, now with the experiences that I'm experiencing, like things like Vipassana and meditation and like these other realms that are starting to sort of appear to me, I'm even more excited to get stuck in this year, because I feel like my brain is open. It's being sort of cracked open. So
beautiful.
We'll see what happens. Touch wood that I get some good stuff out of it.
Yeah. Jess, it's time for the lightning round.
What's this?
It's a couple questions about yourself. What is your favorite part of being you?
Oh my God, what a question. What is my favorite part of being me?
Is there a characteristic or quality that you love about yourself?
I love the wonder I have. Like, I am curious to a fault maybe, but I am constantly, there's a why everywhere, and I want to know why all the time, and how or where, or I'm in a state of wonder majority of the time, and I love that about myself.
I think it's important to have a bit of awe in your life.
Yeah.
To be.
Well, it's just constantly asking questions. I think it's good to ask questions.
Yeah.
We should never just accept with blind faith. We should like find out for ourselves what the truth is.
What do you wish people saw in you that they normally don't see?
Capability, maybe. I think maybe some people don't think I'm like capable, and I am.
Are there things from your audience who knew you from Made in Chelsea that you wish they would see the new you in some way?
Do you know what? Like, I've spent a lot of my life caring what people think about me, and it's held me back. It's when now that I'm getting out of my own way, I'm not caring about what other people think about me as much. So it's nice to not. I don't want to say I don't care, because I do care, but I can't focus my attention on what other people think about me. I can just only be like my authentic self and hope that they see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever had experience with aliens or UFOs?
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, there was this one time where I was living in my brother's, like, we were in a guardianship in London, and we were like, there was a bunch of artists in there, and it was cool. And I'd been a bit naughty. I'd been partying for a bit, and but after the aftermath was, I'd been doing a bit of research into like some quite scary stuff. Like I'd kind of fixated on like some aliens. I was like obsessing over like ancient aliens and things like that, and some positive, some negative. But I'd been really delving into that like research, and I started to feel like I hadn't protected my aura, or maybe I hadn't been protecting my space mentally, and I started to feel very fearful. And I started thinking like, thinking too much about like aliens. And then I experienced this one time where I told my brother, I was like, I'm really scared right now. I'm feeling quite scared. And he was like, of what? And I said, I just feel like something's going on with me that I can't describe. And it's like out of my hands. And he was like, Jess, I think you're going a bit loopy. And I was like, okay, all right, well, can I sleep in this room tonight? And he was like, okay. So he let me sleep upstairs because I was feeling, I don't know what I was feeling. I couldn't describe it. But that night, on the 3rd of August, at whatever time it was, I was lying in bed and I was like, I'm really scared. Like, I don't know why, but I feel scared. And about 3 a.m., this like ridiculous like feeling of white like lights and like maybe it felt like a bit like kundalini or whatever it was, but like something took over my body. And everything that I was scared of, it wasn't scary. It was actually really nice. It was it was like ecstasy.
Wow.
And it went on for about 5 minutes and my whole body was tingling and then it left. So I stopped. Then from then on, I never got scared again.
You got an upgrade.
It was an upgrade. Yeah. It was like, stop being scared.
Wow.
You know, it was like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, we're not coming for you.
Such an interesting experience.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was amazing. I was so scared of it happening, but then when it happened, it was like really nice and it never happened again.
Mm. What are you most grateful to have experienced in your life?
Now I would say Vipassana,
100%.
100%. I think it's the greatest experience of my life to date.
Wow. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think probably like let go. Like let go and yeah, be like water, you know, flow, like be in the flow and let go.
Was that in relation to life itself? Or?
To life itself, yeah. Just stop holding on to things, you know, don't hold on.
If your life was a movie, what would you call it?
Oh my God. Something to do with searching, something to do with finding. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a little, you know, there's little borrower people. There's tiny little people that are like searching for things. I feel like I'm like that. Maybe it would have like a comedy line to it. Maybe if I'm trying to write something now about like enlightenment, but like in like a joking way, kind of like a funny way, like a light way, like finding enlightenment. So maybe the book would be called Almost Enlightened.
Love it.
Like Almost Famous, you know that film?
Yes.
So maybe I would call the book or the film Almost Enlightened.
The next autobiography by Jess Woodley.
Yeah.
What is one lesson you learned from your mom?
Oh my God, there's a lot of lessons from my mum. She's from Scotland, so she's got a thick skin. She's fabulous. She always told me, I'm not sure if this is good now, but she always told me to not take shit from anyone.
That's a good advice.
I think it's good advice, but now I don't mind. Like if you give me shit, that's your present.
You don't take it on.
I don't take it on. Whereas I think I used to be like, not take it, as in I'd fight back. So actually I think the advice wasn't too good.
Gotcha. She might have meant it in the way.
I think she meant it in a good way. Because I guess you shouldn't take shit from anyone, but also who cares? Like if someone's giving you shit, like it's their pain. And that's something I know now, whereas before I used to be like, you know, I'm not taking shit from anyone, but actually like
you would engage with them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like,
whereas now you disengage.
Let people do whatever they do. Like just let people be themselves. Like it's just observe it. Like, observe their character and like just decide whether you want them near you or not. But yeah, my mum's advice. What else has she told me?
What is one piece of advice from your dad that you learned? Or one lesson?
When the tough get going, the going get tough. Yeah, he'd always say that.
The tough get going, the going gets tough.
Tough. when stuff gets hard, you get stronger. I think.
More resilience.
Yeah, don't whenever things got really hard, he would be very good. Oh, and he's also such a giver. He's just a giver. He's like a giver.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned that from him. Like, I learned to just always give. Like, giving is like selfless and loving, and like, you know, he's always been an advocate of giving. Giving is the greatest gift for yourself too. So I'm lucky.
Beautiful. Do you have a favorite poem?
Oh gosh, not off the top of my head. But I want to read. I've got some stuff. Can I get my phone?
Sure.
Yeah. There's some lyrics that I like. I'll read something for you. Do you know, this resonates with me a lot. There's the artists. Oh, I know a good one. Aldous Huxley's Lightly one. Have you read it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm going to read it out. It's dark because you are trying too hard. Lightly, child, lightly. Learn to do everything lightly.
Oh, I do know this.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes, feel lightly even though you're feeling deeply. Just lightly let things happen and lightly cope with them. I was preposterously serious in those days. Lightly. It's the best advice ever given to me. So throw away your baggage and go forward. There are quicksands all about you, sucking at your feet, trying to suck you down into fear and self-pity and despair. That's why you must walk so lightly, my darling.
Oh, so beautiful. I love that you brought that up. I remember reading that years ago, and it really resonated with me.
I got that from an ex-boyfriend, actually. That was his favourite poem, and then
wow.
I kept it.
We take things too seriously, don't we?
We do.
Too heavily.
It's so heavy, yeah.
Lightly.
Yeah, lightly, everything lightly.
Lightly and solitude.
Yeah, lightly and
that's the two themes.
The two themes of today.
Jess, it's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave the listener with on how they can lead a more epic life?
I would say follow your dreams at all costs, you know, like try and eliminate those obstacles that you think are in your way. And the key to the temple is like the temple itself. Like, our bodies really are temples, and we need to look after them with such care and love. And maybe a word to stick with you is healthy. You know, stick to things that are healthy.
Both physically and mentally. And people,
physical,
environment.
mental, food, environment. Healthy is a good word.
Yeah.
It's my favorite word now.
Beautiful. Jess, thank you so much. It's a privilege to have you on, and
thank you.
It's been such a lovely time.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to the James Xander Trip with Jess Woodley. A big thank you to Jess for joining me in this delightful conversation. It was so fun to spend time in your presence and learn from your life, your experience, and your wisdom. If you enjoyed this conversation, do me a favor and share it with one friend who you think might enjoy this podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And to stay in touch with me, join the newsletter at jamesxander.com. Thank you for listening, and have a beautiful day.